Do you know the real story behind The Hills Have Eyes? So, the movie The Hills Have Eyes, which was awesome by the way, was based on the tale of Sawney Bean, a 16th century Scottish cannibal. So, as the tale goes, Sawney and his wife would rob, murder, and eat travelers that were going along the road near their cave. They would sneak up on travelers mainly at night and then kill them and then butcher them on the spot and then take them back to their cave, where they would eat some fresh, they would hang some to dry, and even pickle some of the parts. And anything they didn't use, they would just throw into the ocean. Eventually, Sonny and his wife had kids, and then they would have their kids have kids with each other. And they just kept up that vicious cycle until they were about 45 deep. So, people of the local towns were getting suspicious that people were always disappearing, and also when there were body parts starting to wash up on shore, but they didn't like tie it into the whole Sonny Bean thing yet. They actually ended up accusing local innkeepers. So the cave was a perfect hiding spot for the family because it went back 100 feet. It was 30 feet high and 20 feet wide. And apparently, the fate of the clan changed when they were attacking a couple, and the wife ended up dying when her throat was, you know what, and they slit her belly and took out her entrails in front of her husband. And apparently, he got away though. And apparently, that was because he had a pistol, but he ended up escaping and then alerting officials, and then they put together a search party. And because over 1,000 people had disappeared over 25 years, the king himself, which was King James VI, decided to lead the party. So King James got like 400 people together and they went to the cave and found them. So I'm going to read you an excerpt that I pulled up on my laptop that describes the cave. To their great surprise, the legs, arms, thighs, hands, and feet of men and women and children hung up like dry beef, and some limbs lying in a pickle, a great mass of money, both gold and silver, watches, swords, pistols, and a great quantity of clothes, both linen and wool, infinite other things. So the whole family was arrested, and without trial, they were put down in a pretty gruesome way. So they started by chopping off the men's you know what, and then they chopped off their hand and arms and then let them bleed out, which would take up to a couple hours sometimes. And then they burned all of the women alive. But here's the thing, a lot of people think this is just a folk tale that has been passed down for generations, but it actually might stem from a real story about Christy Cleek, which was a cannibal that lived in the 14th century, and after a hard winter and having to resort to cannibalism, he got a taste for human meat and decided to keep going and would actually hunt down travelers using a meat hook. And I could do a whole nother video deep diving into that story if you want me to.